Paltrocast. So, Simon, thank you for taking the time. And before we talk about your great new film, it's come to my attention that you are such a Black Sabbath fan that you know who Tony Martin is. So, have you been hiding the fact that you're a metalhead through all these junket interviews?
No, I haven't. And in fact, in the movie, I had the keyboard player from Camelot do the score. And he also did cover versions of a couple of heavy metal songs that I like, Breaking the Law from Judas Priest and No More Hollywood Endings from Battle Beast.
Wow. Okay, so lifelong metalhead or crisis that happened during college and you became a metalhead?
Oh, no, I would say maybe grade 6, around 1978.
Wow.
When at the time Led Zeppelin was considered heavy metal.
Yes.
That was before Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and the new wave of British heavy metal of the 80s.
Did you see all these bands in Montreal?
Yes.
Wow.
I even saw Metallica in a place in a club where there were only 1,000 people. It was a small club. And believe it or not, they were opening for Wasp. Wow. And I mean opening. That was after Ride the Lightning, the second album.
When you said Metallica Montreal, where I thought the reason I did that thing was James Hetfield got really badly burned at a Montreal show.
I was there
that night.
Yeah, 1992 Olympic Stadium. And then at least if Guns N' Roses had given a show, then it would have been okay. But the fact that the two bands couldn't complete their show, all hell broke loose.
Totally.
Luckily, I left before all this happened because they set fires everywhere around the Olympic Stadium, and it's all made of concrete. So I really don't know how they were able to set the place on fire. But it was bad. It was a very, very bad night in the history of rock concerts in Montreal.
For sure. But hey, we're here to talk about Charlie Tango. I could talk about Van Halen for hours, but let's talk about Charlie Tango. Now, it did really well on the festival circuit before it got its commercial release here in the States this week. How long has the film actually been done for?
You mean when it was completed?
Yeah, because you learn over time that there's the festival cut, there's the cut where you're using the music that you haven't cleared yet and you're hoping will clear. Then the distributor goes, you need to shave 8 minutes off of this. So you thought it was done. What the version that we can see on digital platforms, when was it actually finished?
It was finished last October, I would say.
Wow.
So almost a year ago. What happened is that we shot it in March 2023. It was a 20-day shoot. I had already cleared the rights for music because I didn't want to take any chances because we were doing concert scenes because the main character plays in a cover band. So we had to record concert scenes. So, the songs had to be cleared because we weren't going to reshoot this 6 months later. Then what happened, we went through the editing process and, the usual sound and additional music stuff. Yep. And it was completed in October. And then I sent it out to festivals and see what was going to happen. We won an award, first runner-up for Best Foreign Film in Myrtle Beach in April. Mm-hmm. And I contacted distributors, I would say probably early in 2024, maybe January, I think, maybe. And then once the movie was taken by one distributor, we set the release date for September, and that's it.
And here we are now. The movie has just come out, etc. Now, how many projects is this a go for you? And the reason I ask is because you've been fairly prolific over the years. Sometimes director, sometimes executive producer and director, sometimes writer, producer, director. You have a lot of different job titles. And my experience is people who actually get stuff done usually have 5 projects in the works for one to happen.
It's kind of interesting that you mentioned this because of all the projects that I did, not many projects didn't happen.
Oh,
yeah.
You're the opposite then.
Perhaps I have quite a few ideas, but usually when I start writing a script, I would say in 80% of cases, it got shot. Because it's rare that I get into writing a script if I think I don't have a chance of shooting it. Because when I write a script, I think of the budget first. So I write it according to my budget. I was told it's not a good idea. I was told you write your script, make it big, and then you cut.
Wow.
No, I didn't want to go through that exercise. So
yeah.
I just, okay, I have this amount of money. What can I do with this amount of money? And I come up with something.
Yeah. So to rudely interrupt you, it's kind of the exact opposite approach of Judd Apatow, who goes, what do you want to do? Okay, make that. What do you want to do? Make that. And then he's letting all these people do the work, the worker bees. And then he's kind of going, okay, we're done. We're done. We're done. It's you actually doing that. The reason I point that out is a lot of times people who are executive producers, it's just a lending a name thing, but not for you, Simon.
No, usually I'm, no one is a one-man operation in filmmaking. We all know you need 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 people, even more with big Hollywood projects to make a film. I think for Charlie Tango, I didn't do the exact count, but I would say that directly and indirectly, probably 80 to 90 people were involved in the making of the film, if you don't count extras, let's say.
Got it.
So, but I'm like ultimately I have the final say in everything because it's my money.
Well, yeah.
I don't get government financing in Canada. It's movies. Well, outside of the States, movies are financed by the government usually.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Because the Canadian market, let's say, is not a big market. So anybody who makes a film and has to fork out $5, $10, $15 million will not get his money back. So you have to make, if you're going to produce it yourself, you have to be able to come up with a lower budget and hope that you can make your money back. But if you're hoping to get your money back after spending like $10 million, you're not going to get it. So that's why films are financed by the government. I didn't get a grant. I didn't get tax credits. I didn't get anything. But what it does is that it gives you full autonomy over the project.
Yes.
Because I used to tell the director of photography and the actors and my assistant director, we're on the set in the morning, we're thinking about something. And I say, look, guys, there's no one supervising us. So if we decide to do something, I won't be told the day after that some executive producer watched the rushes and doesn't like this or doesn't like that. It's my decision. So if I give you the green light to do something, go ahead. I mean, the buck stops here. It's a good feeling, I have to say. But I rely on people a lot because I dabble into many things, but I'm not an expert at photography. I'm not an expert at acting. I dabbled into acting myself. I'm a very average so-so actor. So who am I to think that I can do everything myself?
But in terms of the actors, David, Bruce, Stacy, they have great credits. Who was the first person to come on board for this film?
It was David, because I've known him for about 10 years. And I had the script. I sent it to him, I think, on a Saturday night, and which was not the final version, but close to the final version. And I said, what do you think? And he wrote to me like early Sunday morning, and he says, I'm in. So I start with him because in my part of the country, he's a star. He's well established. He's well known. And I figured, okay, I'm going to get my Charlie, because that's the character's name. I'm going to get my Charlie, and then we're going to start like this. Bruce, I have known for years. I've worked with him before. I thought he would be great as Jeff. As for Stacy, I went through a casting agent in Toronto, and there was a casting call made. And 49 actresses, Canadian actresses in their late 40s, early 50s auditioned for the part, which is a lot considering, you know, the pool of actors in Canada, especially in that age range. We all know there's less actors in their 50s than in their 20s or 30s, but I really wanted to make this show about Generation X. I wanted to show that people in their 50s can have interesting, if not crazy lives.
Yeah.
And not just the mother, the auntie, the grandma, the babysitter. And because all these parts could have been given to 30-year-old actors. But I purposely chose actors in their 50s to do it. And also because it's my age group. So I felt that my writing would be more appropriate for my age group, because if I write for a 20-something, you know, they might look at this and say, no, we don't talk like that. We don't talk like that. We don't talk like that. So I kind of played it safe, but I also wanted to show that 50-somethings can give a good show. And I have to tell you, I've been to screenings, and there's a lot of young people in their early 20s who like the movie and didn't even realize that the actors, the characters were the age of their parents.
But to rudely interrupt you right here, to quote another project of yours, 40 is the new 20. So you seem to have had that revelation pretty early that 20 is not what it once was.
Yeah, I liked when I turned 40, and that's why I did 40s and 20. Again, I wanted to show that 40-somethings can make mistakes, can do stupid things, can fall in love, can fall out of love, cheat, you know, and not just, you know, on a lot of TV series, you see the 40-somethings and 50-somethings as the quiet parents. They watch their television shows. The teenagers are driving them crazy. They're very conservative in what they do. They don't go out a lot. And you know what? That's not reality.
No.
That is not reality.
No.
40 and 50-somethings and 60-somethings are more active than ever. And you know, they go on dating sites, they go on Tinder, they break up, they hook up. Do you see my point?
Not only do I see your point, you know, I went to a concert a couple nights ago, a Deep Purple and Yes concert.
Yeah.
And let's look at the members on stage. You know, they're all 74 to 80 years old, the original members, and the crowd is largely people 60 to 80 years old, but they're out there. And this is their night of the year to drink and do other stuff and be loud. And in other words, they're acting like they did when they were in their 20s.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't go see that tour, although they were in Montreal a few days ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't go see that tour, but I saw Deep Purple maybe about 10 years ago. And I remember talking to people my age, late 40s, and I would say, were you there in the 80s or even late 70s? And they would say, yeah. And I said, well, why do you come back 30 years later, 40 years later? Because the guys are not what they used to be. Let's face it, especially the singers. Usually at that age, this is what you lose first. I mean, the musicians are great. The singers, you know, sometimes they struggle and you feel bad for them.
Yeah.
But what they would tell me is, oh, it's just one nostalgic evening. I'm here with my buddies or my girlfriends, whatever, and we're just having fun, remembering the 80s. Basically, that's the answer I got at the beer stand.
Well, I have two more questions, one related to your filmmaking career and one not, if you would be so gracious to entertain two more questions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
The first one is Charlie Tango to us is a new film because it only came out this week to digital outlets. To you, it's been done for a year and you're a motivated, creative human being. Are we allowed to know what's next? Or if you can't name the project, is it a film? Is it a TV thing? Is it a book?
Look, I have two ideas right now, but I don't know which one will get done first. One in French, one in English. One in English would be another type of crime thriller, a la Charlie Tango, I would say, but just with a different storyline. I have a pretty good idea of what I would do. It's just a matter now of writing the dialogue and put the scenes together. The other project is a French project. I would say I'm trying to find a comparison with an American film. Something a la Moneyball, maybe,
Okay.
but with hockey. Because
Okay.
hockey in the province of Quebec is basically the #1 sport. It's like the
Yeah.
NFL in the States. And it would be done in French because it would really be for the French Canadian market, I would say. I'm not saying that people in North America wouldn't be interested, but the people in this case, I wouldn't be financing it, and the people who would be financing it, they want to do it in French.
Well, I think they say 70% of people who watch Netflix have the subtitles on. So when you know that kind of a thing, what's the difference between it being in a different language and it's just that your TV doesn't go very loud like ours does?
Well, do people really like watching subtitles? I was always told, I hate subtitles, unless it's a movie in Spanish or Italian that they don't understand that
When I
really
was 20,
yeah.
when I
Pardon
was
me?
20, I couldn't listen to stuff in other languages if I didn't immediately grasp it. But I think if the quality, if it looks good and the story's good enough, just look at how many films like Call My Agent on Netflix. Did you watch the French show? I don't speak French, I speak Spanish, but you know what? It was such a compelling, funny story. I'll watch it any day of the week,
Yeah, I watched it in French, yeah. But it's from France, but yeah, I watched it in French, and I agree with you. A lot of people watch it with subtitles in many countries, and it worked. Yeah, but it was a fantastic show. Yeah.
Well, I think you'll have the French audience and the hockey fans. And the hockey fans, from my experience, are like the heavy metal fans,
Yeah.
where they're either the most completists ever or not at all. So the millions upon millions of hockey fans in every territory, that might work. So hopefully one of those projects happen. The last question for you,
Yes.
putting you on the spot as a guy who clearly knows a lot about rock. When it comes to Van Halen, are you a David Lee Roth guy, a Sammy Hagar guy, or both?
That's an interesting question, because I would say Hagar, and I'll tell you why. I like David Lee Roth as a showman. I like a lot of the songs that were done in that era. So for sure. But I prefer Hagar because he's more of a singer, whereas David Lee Roth, many times he's just talking during the songs.
Yes.
And that's a part of Van Halen that I'm not crazy about. Some people love it, but personally I don't. So I figured that Hagar was more of he had a stronger voice as a male singer, but were the songs better in the David Lee Roth days than the Hagar days? I'm not sure. I think I prefer the Roth stuff, but I prefer Hagar as a singer. Does that make sense?
That makes
So I like hearing Hagar sing. When I went in to see them in concert, they did sing old songs, Ain't Talking About Love, stuff like that. And I love hearing Hagar doing the old stuff.
Well, Simon, you have great taste in film and music, and really looking forward to whatever is coming next, whether it's in English, whether it's in French, whatever it is. Keep up all the greatness out there.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Paltrocast.